Welcome to Mindset Motivation with Tony Evans. My brothers and sisters, let us pause for a moment and reflect on something we often overlook. Every night when you lay your head down to rest, something greater than your body begins to move. Your soul does not sleep when you sleep. The body may rest, the mind may slow, but the soul remains awake, attentive, and engaged in a realm we do not always see with human eyes. When we talk about the soul, many people imagine it only in the context of eternity, as something that belongs to heaven, something that exists after death. But the truth is, your soul is active even now in every moment of your life. And one of the most profound realities about the soul is this: it never sleeps. The body gets tired. The body requires rest. The body needs recovery. But the soul was not designed in the same way. The soul is connected to eternity, and eternity does not tire. Eternity does not slumber. Eternity does not shut down. That is why even when your eyes are closed and you are unaware of the world around you, your soul is still very much awake. Think about how the body works. Muscles break down during the day, and during sleep, they heal. The mind processes the clutter of your daily experiences, and dreams become the subconscious way of organizing and filing information. But the soul functions on a higher plane. While the body is limited by time and energy, the soul is limitless. While the body is bound to the natural, the soul interacts with the supernatural. That is why in your most vulnerable state, lying in bed, unconscious of your surroundings, your soul is still perceiving, still discerning, still tuned to frequencies that your physical senses cannot detect. This is why so many people wake up from sleep with impressions they cannot explain. Sometimes it is a sense of peace, a knowing that everything will be all right. Other times it is a heaviness, an uneasiness that lingers through the day. These are not random emotional shifts. These are signals that your soul has been active while you rested, absorbing what the Spirit was showing, witnessing movements in the unseen world. The body may sleep, but the soul remains awake because it was created to be eternal, and eternity is always alive. There is also a reason why God often chose the night hours to reveal himself to men and women in the scriptures. Jacob wrestled with an angel until daybreak. Joseph received dreams that revealed the future. Samuel heard the voice of God calling him in the quiet of the night. Why? Because in the stillness of sleep, distractions fade, noise disappears, and the soul can more clearly receive. It is when the body is still and the world has paused its demands that the soul becomes most receptive to divine impressions. The soul sees, hears, and experiences what is hidden during the chaos of the day. This is also why nighttime can feel like a battleground for many. For some sleep is not restful because their soul is encountering warfare, nightmares, restless tossing, sudden awakenings. These are not always just products of the mind, but signs that the soul is contending with unseen forces. The enemy understands that if he can trouble you in the night, he can weaken you in the day. But the good news is, your soul does not fight alone. When you align yourself with God's Spirit, your soul becomes guarded, empowered, and shielded even while you rest. Understanding that the soul never sleeps should awaken us to greater responsibility. Before you close your eyes at night, you are not just shutting down your body. You are preparing your soul for the realm it will continue to engage. That is why prayer before bed is powerful. That is why meditating on truth before sleep is life-changing. You are essentially setting the atmosphere for your soul's nightly journey. Just as you would not leave your front door unlocked before lying down, you must not leave your soul uncovered. The body rests, but the soul continues its watch. And when you recognize this, you begin to treat the nighttime not as wasted hours, but as a sacred appointment where your soul remains alive, alert, and in communion with the eternal. You said, there are moments when your soul, while you sleep, is shown things that do not come to you in the brightness of the day. These are warnings. They are not given to frighten you, but to awaken you. When you dream of troubling images, when you see events unfold in your sleep that shake you to the core, often it is your soul catching sight of a danger that has not yet reached your doorstep. The human eye cannot always discern what lies ahead, but the soul is not bound by the same blindness. It can perceive traps being set, schemes forming in the background, and spiritual attacks designed to derail your purpose. What seems like a nightmare may actually be your soul's way of crying out. Pay attention, something is coming. Prepare yourself. The Bible speaks repeatedly about warnings coming in the night. Pharaoh's dreams troubled him until Joseph interpreted their meaning. The wise men were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. Pilate's wife had a disturbing dream about Jesus and urged her husband to avoid condemning him. Each of these accounts reveals that the soul can receive revelations of what is hidden. Dreams serve as alerts, guiding us to take steps that protect us from harm or prepare us for battle. Your soul, while your body is resting, can be engaged in seeing what is forming in the spirit realm so that you are not blindsided in your waking hours. When you wake from a dream that unsettles you, the natural impulse is often to dismiss it as imagination, to shake it off as though it means nothing. But what if you treated it as a message? What if instead of ignoring it, you prayed over it, asking for clarity, asking for discernment? because not every troubling dream comes from your own mind. Some are warnings graciously given so you will not walk blindly into the enemy's snare. Your soul sees battles your eyes cannot, and the warning is not meant to paralyze you in fear, but to position you in strength. There is also the reality that the enemy himself can attempt to sow fear while you sleep. That is why some people are tormented with recurring nightmares, visions that bring oppression rather than revelation. Yet even here, God can turn what was meant for harm into a signal of where you must guard yourself. If your soul is troubled night after night in the same area, that is not a coincidence. It is an invitation to confront what is pursuing you spiritually, to cover yourself with prayer, and to seek divine guidance on how to break free. Your soul's visions can serve as a diagnostic tool, revealing where you are most vulnerable so that you can take action before the threat grows. The power of a warning is that it gives you time to respond. If you only knew the danger after it arrived, you would already be caught. But if you are warned before, you are given the opportunity to stand firm. That is why your soul may be stirred with urgency while you sleep. It is heaven's way of saying, be on guard. Something is shifting. Do not be caught unprepared. These warnings are not to make you paranoid, but to make you prayerful. They are not designed to cause despair, but to stir discipline so that you step into your day shielded by awareness instead of stumbling in ignorance. Consider how many times you ignored a troubling dream only to face a challenge later, that week that seemed strangely connected. Consider how often you felt a weight in your spirit at night and dismissed it, only to later realize it was pointing toward a situation you walked into without preparation. That is why we cannot take lightly what our soul sees while we sleep. The warnings may not always be clear at first, but they are worth investigating through prayer, reflection, and wise counsel. When you understand that God can use your soul to see warnings, your entire approach to sleep changes. You go to bed with an expectation that the night is not only for rest, but also for revelation. You begin to treat dreams as potential road signs, signals on the journey of your life. The troubling dream becomes less of a curse and more of a gift because it alerts you to what you might otherwise miss. It is better to be warned and prepared than to walk in ignorance. Your soul, awake in the night, is watching, seeing, and sometimes urging you to take heed so that when morning comes, you are not just awake in body, but awake in spirit, ready for whatever lies ahead. There are nights when the soul does not show you warnings, but instead it reveals promises. While your body rests in stillness, your soul can be taken into glimpses of what is yet to come. Visions of hope and assurance that remind you that the story is not finished. Many people underestimate this dimension of sleep, but promises often come clothed in dreams and visions. When Joseph dreamed of the sun, moon, and stars bowing before him, he was not merely experiencing his imagination. His soul was catching sight of the destiny God had already written for him. The soul, connected to eternity, sometimes sees beyond the present struggles and into the future victories that God has ordained. Have you ever woken up from a dream that left you with a sense of hope, even if you could not explain it fully? Perhaps you saw yourself in a place of peace or prosperity, or you witnessed yourself overcoming what you are currently battling. These are not always random pictures. Many times they are promises, your soul pulling back the curtain of time to show you that your current pain is not permanent. These experiences in the night remind you that your journey has purpose, that the difficulties you face are temporary, and that God's plan is still unfolding. The power of these soul promises is that they strengthen you when you are weak. You might be enduring a season of hardship during the day, but in the night your soul sees beyond the weight of the moment. It whispers encouragement through visions that tell you not to give up. A dream of freedom in the midst of bondage is not an accident. A vision of reconciliation when relationships are broken is not a trick of the mind. These are soul moments, affirmations that the promises of God are still alive, and that what He has spoken will not return empty. It is important, however, to handle these glimpses carefully. Not every dream is meant to be chased immediately, nor every vision acted upon in haste. Some promises shown in the night require patience. Just as Joseph had to wait years before his dreams came to pass, the soul may see ahead of time, but the body must walk it out step by step. The promise is real, but the process cannot be skipped. That is why discernment is crucial, because your soul may show you something glorious that is still far off. And if you attempt to seize it prematurely, you will find yourself discouraged. But if you let the promise become an anchor for your faith, it will carry you through the storms until the day of fulfillment. These dreams of promise are also a way God communicates identity. In the light of the day, you might feel inadequate, small, forgotten, but in the night your soul may reveal images of greatness, images of you standing strong, images of you walking in authority. These are not fantasies. They are confirmations of who you truly are in the eyes of heaven. The world may not see it yet, and you may not fully believe it, but your soul knows, because it was created with that destiny written into its fabric. When your soul sees it in the night, it is reminding you of what has always been true. It is a beautiful thing that while you sleep, when your conscious mind is shut down and your defenses are lowered, God can bypass the noise and plant seeds of promise deep within you. These seeds grow quietly, nurturing hope and courage that you may not even realize are being strengthened. That is why sometimes you wake up more encouraged than you were when you went to bed. The soul, in its connection with the eternal, has refreshed your vision and reminded you that there is more ahead than what you see right now. To recognize when your soul is showing you a promise, pay attention to how you feel upon waking. Do you sense peace, assurance, or joy even when circumstances remain unchanged? That is often a sign that your soul has been shown a glimpse of what is to come. These promises are not meant to replace faith, but to fuel it. They are not shortcuts, but reminders that the path you walk leads somewhere greater than your current situation. The promises seen in the night are a gift, strengthening your hands for the work of the day and keeping your heart steadfast when storms arise. Do you want me to keep building and expand key point 4 in the 600 words in the same deep motivational flow? There are moments in the night when the soul is lifted into something far beyond dreams or warnings. It is in those sacred hours of rest that the soul can be drawn into the very presence of God. While the body lies still and unconscious, the soul is not bound by those same limits. It can enter into places the physical body cannot go. And sometimes what it sees or feels in those moments leaves an impression that words cannot fully describe. People have testified of waking from sleep with tears streaming down their faces, not because of fear or sorrow, but because their soul had touched eternity in the silence of the night. The soul can stand where time has no grip, where the weight of the world fades, and where the atmosphere of heaven saturates every part of its being. This is not imagination. This is the mystery of how God interacts with his children. The scriptures remind us that the Lord neither slumbers nor sleeps. While you rest, he is still speaking, still moving, still guiding. And when your soul is still enough, when the distractions of the day are gone, it becomes a vessel that can receive his presence more freely. Have you ever noticed how the quiet of night feels different? The world is hushed, and the soul, no longer preoccupied with responsibilities, becomes sensitive to whispers it would normally overlook. That is when heaven often chooses to draw near, and the soul experiences communion that leaves an everlasting imprint. When the soul enters this realm, it does not always come back with clear words or pictures. Sometimes it is only a deep peace that lingers into the morning, a peace so profound that no trial in the day can shake it. Other times, it is an overwhelming joy, a sense of being held, seen, and loved in a way nothing on earth can compare to. And there are moments when the soul receives clarity, a sudden understanding of truth, a revelation of who you are, or a glimpse of God's majesty that changes how you see everything else. These experiences are more than dreams. They are encounters, and they remind you that you are not just flesh and bone, but an eternal being designed for communion with the Creator. It is also in these moments that healing can happen. The soul, weary from battles fought during the day, can be restored in the presence of God during the night. Pain that no one else understands, wounds too deep to explain, fears that weigh heavily on the heart, all of it can be lifted in a single encounter with the divine. People often wake refreshed, not because their body had extra hours of sleep, but because their soul was ministered to in ways that transcend natural rest. When the soul stands in God's presence, heaviness falls away and burdens lose their power. The beauty of this truth is that it shows us God is never distant. Even when we are unconscious, even when we are unaware, His presence surrounds us, His Spirit engages with our soul, and His love holds us together. Many times, what you call a good night's sleep is not simply your body resting, but your soul finding refuge in the presence of the one who guards you through the night. You may not remember the details, but your soul knows. It carries the peace forward into your waking hours. That is why it is so vital to approach sleep, not just as a physical necessity, but as a spiritual opportunity. When you lay your head down, you are not simply turning off the lights of your body. You are opening the door for your soul to meet the eternal. And when it does, everything about your day can be transformed. Fear loses its grip. Anxiety weakens. Hope strengthens. Love deepens. For a soul that has stood in the presence of God while the body rested cannot live the same when it rises again in the morning. There is a mystery in the way God has designed the human soul. While the body grows weary and collapses into rest, the soul often finds itself in a place of renewal and healing. Many people overlook this truth, thinking that sleep is only about restoring physical strength. They count the hours of rest as if the body alone determines how refreshed they will feel the next morning. But the soul tells a different story. There are mornings when you rise with a strength you cannot explain, a peace you did not have the night before, a lightness that makes no sense given the heaviness you carried to bed. That is not merely sleep doing its work. That is your soul being healed, mended, and ministered to in ways beyond human comprehension. The day has a way of bruising the spirit. The battles of work, the pressure of relationships, the disappointments that stack one upon another, and the secret fears that nobody else knows about These things weigh down the soul. You may carry them without showing it to others, smiling on the outside while feeling exhausted within. But when the body finally lets go, when the eyes close and the conscious mind shuts down, the soul can enter into a place of divine restoration. This is why so many people testify that the night feels like medicine. You lay down broken, but you wake up whole. You went to bed restless, but you opened your eyes in peace. Healing took place in the unseen spaces of your soul, while the world was unaware. This is not a healing that comes from your own strength. It is not the result of clever thinking or positive affirmations alone. It is the quiet work of God, the gentle touch of His Spirit, while you are most vulnerable. It is in that vulnerability that your soul is opened wide, no longer guarded by pride or business, no longer distracted by the noise of life. In that stillness, healing flows in ways it cannot during the rush of the day. The soul finds comfort, the heart receives peace, and the mind is realigned. What you could not fix in your waking hours, God can restore in a single night of divine encounter. Sometimes this healing is emotional. You may wake up with a burden lifted, a bitterness gone, a sadness replaced with joy you cannot explain. Sometimes it is mental. Thoughts that were cluttered the day before seem clearer after a night's rest. At other times it is spiritual. You might wake with a stronger faith, a renewed passion, or an unexplainable confidence that God is with you. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your soul has been in the presence of the healer while your body slept. There are even moments when this healing is preventative. Perhaps you were on the edge of giving up, carrying stress so heavy it could have broken you. But in the night, your soul received strength. You woke up with resilience you didn't have before. Without even realizing it, healing occurred that prevented you from collapsing under the weight of your trials. What you thought would destroy you was carried away in your sleep because the soul was being renewed. This is why the way you end your day matters. If you fill your mind with chaos, anger, or fear before bed, your soul carries that into the night. But if you close the day with prayer, gratitude, and surrender, you create an atmosphere where healing can flow freely. You give your soul a chance to rest in the arms of the one who restores. Healing is not random. It is connected to the posture of your heart and the openness of your spirit as you rest. Never underestimate the nights when you wake up different than you were when you laid down. Those nights are gifts. They are reminders that God heals in hidden ways, that His mercy extends even into your unconscious hours, and that the soul He created in you is designed not only to endure, but to be renewed. Healing in the night is His promise. and your soul carries the evidence of it every time you rise in the morning with a peace that surpasses all understanding. Would you like me to now expand key point 6 into 600 words so the full series is complete? The night is not an empty space of wasted hours. It is not simply the pause button on the business of life. For the soul, the night is a classroom. It is the place where lessons too deep for daylight are whispered, where truths too subtle for noise are revealed, and where guidance for the journey ahead is given. When you sleep, your body may rest, but your soul is still awake, and often it is being taught. The experiences you have in dreams, the impressions that stay with you upon waking, the sudden clarity that comes after a night of rest. All of these are signs that your soul has been learning while your body was unaware. The night becomes a divine school where the Spirit of God instructs, corrects, comforts, and prepares you for what you will face when the sun rises again. Sometimes the lesson is about awareness. You might have gone through your day ignoring certain warnings or overlooking small details. But at night, your soul replays or reveals things you missed. It is not random when you dream of a conversation, an encounter, or a situation that troubles you. That is often your soul drawing attention to what your eyes skipped over, reminding you to be cautious, to pay attention, to look deeper than the surface. These are lessons that keep you from walking into life unprepared. The soul sees, learns, and teaches even when you are asleep. At other times, the lesson is about direction. You may feel lost or confused during the day, unsure of which decision to make. But in the quiet hours of the night, your soul can receive impressions that guide your steps. This is why people often wake up with sudden clarity about choices they have been struggling with. It is not because the problem changed, but because the soul was taught in the night. God has a way of instructing his children when they are still, when the business of life no longer clutters their mind. The soul becomes a student in his presence, learning lessons that carry into the light of day. There are also nights when the lesson is about correction. The soul may bring to the surface what you tried to bury. Hidden guilt, unresolved conflict, unspoken fears. Dreams can confront you with truths you would rather ignore. This is not to shame you, but to heal you, to bring hidden things into the open so that you can address them. The night exposes what the day conceals. And though these lessons may be uncomfortable, they are necessary. They shape character, refine motives, and keep you aligned with the truth. Another kind of lesson the soul learns at night is about hope. The soul can be taught to see beyond current struggles into the promises of God. A dream of freedom, a vision of joy, an experience of peace while you sleep. These are lessons reminding you not to quit, not to surrender, not to believe the lie that your story is finished. The night classroom is where God sometimes restores faith, showing your soul pictures of the future to keep you pressing forward. The lesson of hope is one of the most powerful because it gives you strength to face another day with courage. All of these lessons are possible because the night removes distractions. The noise of people, the pull of responsibilities, the demands of survival, all of it fades when the body shuts down. In that silence, the soul becomes attentive. And in that attentiveness, God writes truths on the heart, lessons that could not have been grasped in the business of the day sink.
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more reflections that nourish the soul. Your presence here means so much. Come back soon. And let's continue to explore faith and meaning together.
Deeply into the soul at night. You may not even fully remember the details upon waking, but the effect lingers. A shift in perspective, a new sense of peace, a stronger conviction. These are the fruits of the divine classroom of the night. When you begin to see your nights not just as rest, but as training, you approach them differently. You realize every time you close your eyes, you are stepping into a place where the eternal and the
Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more reflections that nourish the soul. Your presence here means so much. Come back soon. And let's continue to explore faith and meaning together.
temporal meet, where the soul is taught by the Spirit. You may not graduate with certificates or diplomas, but you will rise with wisdom, strength, and understanding that only the night could have given. The soul, always awake, always learning, is being shaped in those unseen hours into the person God has called you to be.